It is impossible for this administration to ignore the poor who made great sacrifice to bring us to government.
From a father comes blessings upon the poor.
Sheikh Usman bin Fodio, in one of his writings, he equated a thief, a corrupt leader, with a monkey.
Hailing a caliphate as bastion of social justice and a pledge for equity for all before the clergy. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Elizabeth Banwan. We're reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the security and economic cooperation between Nigeria and Benin Republic as an exemplary model that can be adopted by other countries for peace and sustainable development. It was while receiving the outgoing ambassador of that country to Nigeria, Mr. Muftau Lale. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
Describing as pleasing the people-to-people integration between Nigeria and the Republic of Benin, President Muhammadu Buhari promised to improve the existing relations between both countries in other key strategic areas for the mutual benefits of the two countries. As he puts it, I don't take neighborliness lightly, and I believe that our countries and our people have no alternative but to remain close. The president therefore said everything will be done to cultivate and maintain good relations by mutually promoting strategic and tactical cooperation in the interest of the two countries. President Buhari commended the outgoing ambassador for working hard to improve relations between Nigeria and the Republic of Benin in the last 8 years. His long period of service in Nigeria, the president said, is a mark of the confidence reposed in him by Beninois leaders. Ambassador Laleye commended the president for stabilizing relations between his country and Nigeria, which he described as brotherly. He expressed delight at the strong support he enjoyed from Nigeria's past and present leaders, thereby contributing to the success of his mission in the country. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In another development, the federal government has formally declared its commitment to applying decisive measures towards ending extreme poverty in the country to keep faith with the poor, since they made great sacrifices for the change agenda. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at a parley with participants of the Senior Executive Course 38 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. Here again is Adam Sambu.
The participants of the Senior Executive Course 38 of the National Institute were in the State House to formally present to President Muhammadu Buhari the report of their research findings on the theme Strengthening Institutional Mechanisms for Poverty Reduction and Inclusive Development in Nigeria. The Acting Director General of the Institute, Jonathan Juma, who led the participants, said the report, which is a product of painstaking work, contains implementation strategies to guide the policy direction of government.
Nigeria is greatly endowed. All we require is committed Nigerians. So we have made recommendations that we feel will help reduce poverty in the country and promote inclusiveness.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who commended the participants for a job well done, noted with concern that despite the nation's enormous wealth, as well as several policies and programs implemented over the years, the cycle of poverty is yet to be broken in Nigeria.
I want to assure you that the Federal Executive Council will carefully study the report and implement all the practical recommendations. It is impossible for this administration to ignore the poor who made great sacrifice to bring us to government. Ours, more than any other government in the history of Nigeria, is a people's government. We therefore must and we will keep faith with the people.
The president said he is not unmindful of the suffering of Nigerians as a result of the present economic situation, but was quick to add that the recession is not the making of his administration, but a consequence of bad management of the economy in the past couple of decades.
The average cost of each Nigerian barrel of oil was $100 per barrel. When we came, I asked, any savings? I was told there was no saving. What have you done on agriculture? Power, rail, roads, nothing. You know it more than I do. How many of the trunk A roads from A to B are still good enough? Where is that money? This is the type of thing we, the Nigerian elite, are doing to our own country. Persuade them to be Nigerians, please.
President Buhari said the report presented by the NIPS participants has given him reason to strongly believe that the challenges are surmountable.
This administration is committed to find a lasting solution to our economic structural imbalance. Let us have faith in our great nation that we will come out of this recession vibrant and strong.
The National Institute, which so far graduated about 1,500 participants, was conceived in 1979 to serve as the nation's foremost policy think tank that will conceptualize innovative policy initiatives and strategies critical for national development. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Still at the State House, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to treat all Nigerians equitably, as well as restore and maintain the nation's peace enterprise as a demonstration of faith to the oath taken on his assumption of office. It was while receiving the Executive Committee of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, from the 19 northern states and the FCT.
President Muhammadu Buhari said he is fully aware of the dictates and implications of the oath taken as President of Nigeria to be fair and just to all manner of people, and is therefore determined to keep faith with it. He urges to help in promoting religious harmony by enhancing understanding amongst the different faiths in the country. Describing the restoration of peace as a top priority of his administration, the president said law enforcement agencies will be fully supported to combat all forms of violent crimes and ensure that Nigerians live in peace. He explained that the government will also explore and exploit the abundant opportunities in the agricultural and solid mineral sectors to kickstart the economy. The chairman of the northern chapter of CAN, Reverend Yakubu Pam, commended the president for, among others, the blow dealt Boko Haram insurgents, leading to relative peace in the northeast and the release of some Chibok girls, as well as the fight against corruption, which he said should be taken to its logical conclusion.
We told Mr. President that he should know that at this point we have been encouraging our youth to go into farming, and they need to be protected. Once they're there in the bush for farm, their lives are not safe. And again, when they come into the city, there's no employment. So that is why farmers must be protected so that our young men will go back there. At the same time, we will say that it is good for him to know that windows opportunity for employment is very important, because an idle mind is a devil workshop.
He said it was not a mistake that God chose President Buhari to lead Nigeria at these challenging times and pledged the unflinching support of the clerics to his administration. Reverend Pam expressed optimism that with President Muhammadu Buhari, the realization of Nigeria's greatness is just a matter of time. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Away from the presidential villa to Sokoto now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described the leadership style and literary works of early founders of Sokoto Caliphate as relevant to contemporary Nigeria. He stated this at the International Symposium organized in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, in Sokoto.
The symposium was to reflect the contributions of the Sokoto Caliphate, established more than 200 years ago by Sheikh Usman bin Fodio. While congratulating Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar on his 10th anniversary, Vice President Osinbajo said the Caliphate was established by intellectuals to fight injustice and corruption. The Vice President quoted Usman bin Fodio on a non-corrupt leader.
Sheikh Usman bin Fodio, in one of his writings, he equated a thief, a corrupt leader, with a monkey. He wrote, and I quote, when you find a man with a tendency to steal surreptitiously, he is in the same class as the monkey, end of quote.
The Sultan of Sokoto urged Nigerian leaders, especially states governors to focus on execution of people-oriented programs and for governments to do more in the fight against insurgency and other criminalities.
We obey constituted authorities. We work with you. Inshallah, this country will get back to where it's supposed to be, one of the best in the world.
Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal commended the Sultan for his great leadership and support and on addressing the economic challenges.
Since your assumption of office as chairman of the National Economic Council, you've been doing very greatly well in ensuring that our economy is brought back to the track.
A prolific scholar from University College London underscored the immense contribution of Sokoto Caliphate towards the corporate existence of Nigeria, while Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II said the symposium is to enlighten Nigerians on the literary contribution of the founders of Sokoto Caliphate.
And in continuation of the 10th anniversary celebration of Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, there was a special reception focused on reviewing his person and his royal office.
The special dinner brought together virtually all the prominent traditional rulers and traditional title holders across the country and beyond. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal said the anniversary is being celebrated as a mark of gratitude to Almighty Allah for enthroning a sultan and a leader.
We have had very, very rich and illuminating testimonials that are genuine, sincere and correct on the personality of the celebrant.
In their separate remarks, the Bongon Jos Buba Gang and spiritual leader of Tibu community, Mustawantere Paul Onongo, hailed the Sultan's unprecedented efforts of bridging the gap and bringing together the Nigerian communities, religious institutions to reduce religious intolerance. The chairman South-South Traditional Rulers Council described the Sultan as #1 bridge builder. Chairman National Organizing Committee of the anniversary, Emir of Kano Muhammad Sanusi II, said they decided to celebrate the Sultan on this fete to symbolize their continued loyalty and support to Sultan in all his endeavors targeted at uniting and improving the standard of humanity. The celebrant and Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, thanked the organizers of the event, describing them as lovers of humanity and pledged to go to any length in the discharge of the caliphal duties geared towards good governance and service to humanity.
I wear 2 turbans, traditional turban and religious turban.
In Sokoto, Jabele Dabore, NTA News.
The Senate has described as distracting speculation that the National Assembly is delaying consideration of the 2017 to 2019 medium-term expenditure framework. Waziri Zayano has details of this and other activities of the Senate this Thursday.
Raising a point of order at Thursday's plenary, Senate leader Muhammad Ali Ndume quoted a newspaper publication which accused the National Assembly of failure to meet the October deadline for considering the MTEF.
This document that they call MTEF is empty. When they do things or they bring nothing and we ask for something so that we will do it properly, they run to the newspaper to start blaming the National Assembly.
This issue of blame game is really totally unnecessary.
10 new bills were introduced through first reading and 2 reports considered. Report of the Committee on Tertiary Institution and TED Fund on gross mismanagement of Educational Tax Fund was presented by Senator Jibril Barrow.
The tertiary education sector is still heavily underfunded, judging from the myriads of needs in the institutions.
If we want to know the level of misappropriation that has been done in TED Fund, don't go too far. Just ask for the Auditor General's query between 1999 to date.
Many institutions don't keep to the standards or to the particular condition or conditions set by TED Fund. And therefore, they may not be able to spend all the resources on what they have said they will.
The Senate also considered and passed the report on the Committee on Health on the counterfeit and fake drugs and unwholesome processed food.
The absence of adequate legal framework has greatly affected the nation in the fight against counterfeit and fake drugs and unwholesome processed foods.
Outside plenary, Senate President Bukola Saraki received report on the Technical Committee on Budget Reform Process in Nigeria, which was inaugurated in July this year. Dr. Bukola Saraki also received the Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha, who expressed concern over the relationship among executive arm of government, the National Assembly, and the ruling party.
I think Nigerians expect so much of us. And at the end of it all, Nigerians will not ask us how many of each other we've been able to destroy or how many we have been able to bring down, but they will ask us how many plates of food have we put on the table of the common man.
We're still waiting for the party's first visit to the Senate. I think after 1.5 years now, we're still waiting. As you said, it's never too late.
From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has called on the National Assembly to amend existing laws that are hampering the efficiency of the ministry. It was during an interaction with the Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation on Oversight visit.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed wants the National Assembly to do away with the burdensome procedure of procurement and award of contracts, as well as appropriate funds that will reflect the enormous responsibilities of the ministry. He said flagship projects include the government press and rebuilding creative industry centers in each zone of the Federation.
Our budget is the most difficult to even contemplate. Because when there's crisis, be it Boko Haram, be it flooding or any catastrophe, they will run to the Ministry of Information to reassure the people, to calm them, give information, enlighten them.
The minister also emphasizes the importance of meeting the 2017 digital switchover deadline. He had an interesting exchange with senators over impediments to internally generated revenue.
We are losing a lot of revenue as a result of intervention from government quarters. The program is coming up. A note comes that the First Lady has a program somewhere. So every other commercials, even though paid for, it's a tradition.
There's what is called broadcasting code.
If you abuse any of
There's what is allowed, what is not allowed. Write a petition. We forward it to the NBC. NBC will take it.
The oversight visits by the Senate committee are expected to conclude on Friday, 4th of November. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to intensify its fight against the scourge of malaria in Nigeria by declaring a state of emergency on the disease. Members at Thursday's plenary also resolved to investigate the non-submission of the report of the Presidential Committee on the Procurement of Arms. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Sunko reports.
Citing the fact sheet released by the U.S. Department of State in 2010 that over 300,000 deaths are recorded annually in Nigeria from malaria, Representative Chika Adamu submits that this will persist if the Federal Ministry of Health does not embark on the fumigation of mosquito-prone areas across the country.
In my constituency, Shiroro, Rafi, Mian Federal Constituency, 6,000 cases of malaria is being reported every week.
A bill for an act to amend the Army Color Prohibition Use Act to provide for stiffer penalties against unauthorized use by the public, sponsored by Representatives Ima Ogene and Ibrahim Sadiq, passed second reading.
That along our highways, young people wear army color uniform and boots and pretend to be soldiers.
Also passed for second reading is a bill for an act to prohibit the domestication of any treaty that is in conflict with the moral and cultural values of Nigeria, sponsored by Representative Garba Dati Mohammed.
These are mere applications to be sent to the committee, the Special Ad Hoc Committee for Constitutional Review, And I'm glad some of you who want to speak are members of that committee.
Members resolved to investigate accruals, management and disbursement of Nigerian Content Development Fund as moved by Representative Ferdinand Dozier Wankwo from Anambra State.
The fund is alleged to have risen to over $1 billion as of July 2016.
The House received 5 reports from the committees on commerce, petroleum resources downstream and privatization. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has tasked the Nigerian Society of Engineers to prove their capacity to fill the vacuum which necessitated the presence of foreign engineering companies handling various projects across the country. The team canvassed consideration for local engineers' infrastructural development. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
The association, which commended efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari in revamping Nigeria's economy through infrastructural development, wants local content policy to be considered to boost job creation, particularly where materials used for rail projects and other construction works are sourced locally.
Nigerian engineering firms and other business concerns should be assured of participation in the various practice areas in either joint venture or as subcontractors or consultants. This will guarantee widespread employment and acquisition of skills and competencies for projects.
Advising the engineers, Power, Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola said opportunity will be given to Nigerian engineers who show capacity to deliver as government implements infrastructural programs.
I can tell you from experience, if we are talking about rail today, how many Nigerian design firms design rail? Any serious government that wants to do infrastructure, that wants to turn people's lives around, that want to see development and invest in infrastructure, will take its engineers serious. But the engineers must step up to the plate. They must invest.
On the housing project to commence soon, Fashola promised that all materials that can be sourced locally will not be imported. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
The federal government has described public-private partnership, PPP, as a viable financing vehicle for infrastructure development to fast-track economic growth. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, represented by the Special Advisor to the President on Economic Matters, said at a PPP knowledge-sharing forum organized by the Ministry of Finance and the African Development Bank. Finance and Economic Correspondent Cliff Ayozi reports.
The Vice President believes there is a positive correlation between investment in infrastructure and economic growth. He says National Infrastructure Master Plan indicates that Nigeria's current infrastructure stock is at about 20 or 25% and by 70% short of international benchmark. To meet this target, Nigeria, he says, requires $25 billion annually in the next 10 years, and partnering with the private sector will enhance government's effort in infrastructure development.
It is felt that a partnership with the private sector, which has quite a lot of resources, would help also to bring the amount and the scale and volume of resources you need to upgrade the infrastructure in the country.
For some ministers and top government officials at the forum, public-private partnership will mark a turning point in diverse areas of the nation's development.
We've been talking about PPP in water supply delivery, water supply for the past 20 years or so. And we think now is the time. And that's why we have been trying to accelerate the water bill.
Large demand in infrastructure in the area of road, in the area of power, in almost all the sectors. But we don't have the resources to meet all of them.
The amount of money required to carry out all those projects are beyond the resources of government, especially at this moment.
The preparation of a project, the integrity of its financing framework, and then also making sure that we have the governance around to deliver.
PPPs oblige a government to think long-term, prepare long-term, and then hold the private sector to its contractual commitments.
Some experts at the forum expressed the need for sincerity of purpose and proper coordination of the partnership in order to achieve expected results. From the Banquet Hall, State House, Abuja, Cliff Ayozie, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has set up a special panel to investigate all cases of alleged sexual abuses, exploitation, harassment, gender-based violence and professional misconduct against internally displaced persons in some northern states. In a statement by the Public Relations Officer, Force Headquarters, Don Awuna, the Inspector General is calling on Human Rights Watch officials to avail the investigation team more facts that will assist the police conduct the inquiry into the alleged 43 cases mentioned in the report. The statement also directs commissioners of police in locations where the IDP camps are situated to beef up the security and ensure adequate safety of all displaced people, and for police officers deployed to the camps to strictly adhere to the rules of engagement. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. World Bank team does a check on Public Complaints Office. This and more when we return. Stay with us.
This is a happy moment for me and for all Nigerians.
Amina Ali Nkeke, the first Chibok schoolgirl to be rescued in the renewed onslaught against the Boko Haram insurgency.
Amina's rescue gives us new hope.
Federal government has formally received the 21 abducted Chibok girls.
These dear daughters of ours have seen the worst that the world has to offer. It is now time for them to experience the best that the world can do for them. Government will sustain the effort until all the remaining girls return safely.
Once in a generation, a technology emerges that transforms a nation. Glo's new 4G network is exactly that. It is by far the fastest mobile internet in Nigeria and the first with nationwide coverage. Government institutions and big business will have the tools they need to build the powerhouse of Africa. Small business will be enabled to make the big leap. Medical procedures will be more advanced and your home will become truly smart. With our most extensive national optic fiber network linked seamlessly to Glo One submarine cable, it is data speed and capacity beyond imagination. 4G will accelerate Nigeria's progress into the Super League, and everyone will see their lives change beyond recognition. The wait is over. Welcome to 4G LTE from Glo. Welcome to the new speed of life.
Jago for the winner and you.
The second round of the Bank of Industry Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund, GEF, is now open for entries. The scheme is to encourage graduates of tertiary institutions to venture into business and become employers of labor rather than job seekers.
To be eligible for this program, the core member will have to take part in an online business plan competition.
The selected corpers will undergo a 4-day intensive entrepreneurship capacity building program that will run simultaneously in NYSC camps across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, including Lagos.
Successful core members who are able to produce bankable business plans would be provided with loans of up to 2 million naira at 9% interest rates per annum, with tenures ranging from 3 to 5 years.
Hurry! Go to the Graduate Entrepreneurship Fund online application portal at www.boinigeria.ng/GEF and submit your business idea. Application portal closes at midnight of November 7, 2016.
Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.
It's truck month at Ford, and we've got a Ranger just for you, Vincent. Here's the Workhorse 2.5 petrol single cab with free Ford Protect, a 4-year 120,000-kilometer service plan, or the 2.5 petrol-based double cab with 800mm water wading capability, available in manual transmission and with free Ford Protect. So while stocks last, visit Kostaris Motors today, because, wait for it, thanks Vincent, we've got a tough Ford Ranger just for you.
Wake up on a Mocha mattress and wake up to feeling good.
Wake up to feeling good.
Hi everyone, my name is Bruna Tatiana and I'm from Angola.
Aziz Abafana from Uganda.
My name is Moray Shongisa from Mozambique.
Lieno from Cameroon.
It's your boy Viper. My name is Ayman El Atta, Libya.
Boy is the name. I represent Ghana.
Je suis Zainab Beninoise.
My name is Tijan.
Hi, I'm Prince Pankak from South Africa.
Shay from Lagos, Nigeria.
Nuru from Ghana.
Papa Denis, Kenya. Voilà, c'est Kif Nubi. On vient de Côte d'Ivoire.
Zani Shale, Malawi.
Dax Abel from Ghana.
Let's celebrate our music. I will be in Lagos, Nigeria.
I will be live in Lagos, Nigeria.
Je serai à Lagos, au Nigeria. I will be in Lagos, Nigeria, my hometown.
On November the 6th, 2016.
Let's celebrate us.
And I welcome all Africa and the rest of the world to Nigeria.
Afrima Awards.
The Afrima Awards. Let the spirit of African music flow.
Wow! Afrima. For hope, for celebration.
NTA. Official broadcast station.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. National Judicial Council has decided that judicial officers standing trial for alleged corruption-related offences will not be allowed to perform judicial functions at the same time. It has also decided that judicial officers being investigated for alleged high-profile criminal offences will not perform judicial functions until their cases are concluded. These are part of the decisions taken by the National Judicial Council at its 79th meeting, where it commenced the implementation of the National Judicial Policy. The Council also set up a Transparency and Anti-Corruption Policy Implementation Committee headed by a retired Justice of the Supreme Court and former Chairman, Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, Justice Emmanuel Ayola. Other members are the Chief Judge of Borno State and the President, Nigerian Bar Association. Meanwhile, a new secretary has been appointed for the Council. He is the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, Ahmed Gambo Sali. The people of Ondo State have been advised to always obey the rule of law, embrace peace, and refuse to be used as instruments of destabilization in the forthcoming November 26th governorship election in the state. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Jumo Ibrahim, gave the advice during a visit to his hometown, Ibotako, to receive royal blessings from the traditional ruler, Oba Gbadebo Bajoa, in his palace.
Mr. Ibrahim was accorded a rousing welcome by his supporters when he arrived his hometown, Igbotako, in Okitipupa local government area of Ondo State. Addressing the people, Mr. Ibrahim promised to transform the state economically if voted into power in the November 26 governorship election.
People want change. They want liberation. They want better life. They want to come out of the hopelessness that we are in.
As part of the visit, the PDP governorship candidate paid homage to the Rebuja of Oshoro land, Obagbadebo Bajowa, where he received royal blessings. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the state, B. Ikoroye, urged the people to support the candidature of Mr. Jimoh Ibrahim. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has assured France and Japan of Nigeria's readiness for collaboration that will develop its film industry. It was at the second edition of the Animated Film Festival of the Japanese and French embassies in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
Describing the film industry as a viable sector, the minister said animation has earned a special place as it is not restricted to children alone.
If only we are able to develop the capacity, we have a lot of stories to tell, using animated, technology.
With the present technological advancement in the industry, there is the need for capacity building. And he was quick to note that the Canadian government has promised to assist Nollywood in animated filmmaking. The French ambassador to Nigeria, Denis Gouaye, and his Japanese counterpart, Sadanobu Kusaoki, said animated films have become an integral part of the movie industry.
It is the reason why we have decided, with our Japanese partners, to dedicate one of the 4 evenings to the animation industry in Nigeria.
There is much more we can learn from Nollywood and Nigeria's filmmaking.
The second edition of the Animated Film Festival will close on the 5th of November. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, has assured the civil service pensioners of plans to commence verification exercise in the Northeast, South-South, Southwest and North Central zones as the remaining 2 zones are being verified. The Executive Secretary of the agency, Sharon Ikeazu, gave the assurance during the National Executive Council meeting of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners held in Abuja. Labour correspondent Emmanuel Ayemiro tells us more.
The National Executive Council meeting gave Nigeria Union of Pensioners the opportunity to appraise the activities of their union and the extent to which their plight is being ameliorated. The union president, Dr. Ebela Folayon, acknowledged that despite the current recession, the federal government has paid the paramilitary all the 42 months arrears of 33%, except the police, which got 3 months, while the civilian pensioners got 24 months out of 42. He, however, commended Jigawa, Anambra, Enugu, Yobe and Lagos states for not owing pensioners any monthly pension.
Barrister Sharon Ikeazu has assured us that the balance of 18 months of 33% arrears will be paid to us in no distant time.
For the police pensioners and others yet to be paid, Executive Secretary of PTAD, Sharon Ikeazu, assured them that none will be left out.
We're clearing pensions. After clearing pensions, we can now start going to arrears. So we're working on sorting that out. Before the end of the year, they should get another 9 months, which will make it exactly 12 months, 1 year.
In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Participants to the think tank conference on the current economic recession, which took place at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS Kuru, have resolved that the economic downturn will be overcome if government boosts local manufacturing and patronage of made in Nigeria goods. This was part of the 18 points communique, and Bill Kisunu has details.
The participants, after due deliberation and discussion on the present economic challenges facing the country, also advised government to reduce interest rates on loans to farmers to encourage massive food production.
The federal government needs to adopt sustainable and suitable monetary and budgetary policies that will encourage low inflation, ease interest rates, galvanize higher productive investment, and foster higher growth.
The communique also wants government to take a critical look at some public officers taking double salary. Some of the participants expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the findings and resolution.
It's an indication that Nigeria will come out of the recession it finds itself today. And of course, not only solutions for coming out of the recession, but also for long lasting, so that the economy will thrive for the good of today and for better tomorrow.
And for us to come out of that recession, we must look inward. Looking inward is trying to make sure that we do things in our own way.
Bongom Jos Da Jacob Gang Buba, who was represented by the Sumpian Da Charles Mato and the Acting Director General of NIPS, Dr. Jonathan Juma, said the participants did not recommend the sales of national assets, which they say is a clear manifestation of their careful and mature deliberations. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. Safety of journalists in focus as women in business strategize in Lagos. Abdullahi brings us details. Over to you, Abdullahi.
Good evening, Elizabeth, and thanks for joining us in Lagos. The rising spate of impunity and crime against journalists, particularly in developing countries, have become a major source of worry. As the world observes the International Day for Safety of Journalists, a conference to create awareness on the hazards and challenges facing Nigerian journalists on the field of the job has been organized in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu reports.
Journalists are daily faced with attacks and intimidation, and some have been killed in the course of performing their duty of gathering and disseminating information to the public. More worrisome is the fact that their employers and the government, whose responsibility it is to provide adequate security and safety measures for journalists, have not been able to live up to that responsibility.
I know it's the job I signed for. I take the risks, but I think the employers should do more, safeguarding our lives.
In his message, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, which was read at the event, noted that out of 827 documented killings of journalists over the past decade, only about 8% of perpetrators have been held to account. Safety and security expert Ehi Eden x-rayed some of the job hazards and health implications faced by journalists.
Mental health policy should be a part of the policy that we actually have governing the media profession.
The World Day for Safety of Journalists was first observed by the United Nations in 2013. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
Nigerian women have been urged to take their rightful place in the scheme of things by acquiring the necessary skills and mentorship that will enable them make meaningful contributions to nation building. The event was the 2016 Annual Women in Management Business Service WIMBIS conference held in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu was at the two-day event, which drew over 50 speakers on relevant topics and issues that affect women.
Statistics show that women account for a large percentage of the nation's population. Incidentally, their contribution to the GDP, observers say, have not been commensurate with their numbers. The reason is not far-fetched, but WIMBIS had over the past 1.5 decades taken responsibility to change the status quo through inspiring and empowering women to reach their goals in life. For those with high potential, WIMBIS offers just a little push for them to attain leadership positions in business, management, and public service.
Nigerian State needs women to dig in deep and break new grounds, open up new frontiers and possibilities, which is exactly what we need to rebuild our nation.
It's a gathering of women for women to discover themselves.
There's all this age-long belief about how women think, but I think there's a whole new generation of women who are working differently.
All we're trying to achieve is to get more women contributing to our national output, to get more women
earning livelihoods, feeding their families, living their dreams.
Participants at the conference share their views on its relevance.
Women are actually good in management. If you can manage families, you should be able to manage organizations as well, and then also manage a nation.
The two-day event, which commenced today, will be rounded up on Friday, the 4th of November, 2016. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
More stories ahead on NTA Network News after these messages. Stay with us.
See, come this gizzard. Put the doctor liver.
Yes, I go put Oga. This is who you have plenty.
Why you dey shake now? What do they worry? Cut them down.
Make I put this one go. Your money is to pay for this one too.
I don't pay already now. See, if you pay yesterday, you know they pay today. Now free tomorrow now.
Make I tell you, wallahi this one no be close to your support. Pretty tomorrow it never reach here. Wallahi you kwa. Somebody like you are go pay me my money now.
Now lie they everywhere.
What if? You are go pay me for my suya. Like pay me my money now.
Yeah, calm down. Calm down.
As you tell me my meat, like tell me now who I go pay for this suya? Who go pay for all this meat? You tell me my suya.
Whatever airtime or data you use, in one day you can get double the amount back tomorrow to browse, text, and talk to all networks. Free. Dial *600# today.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Success. I always wanted to make something of myself. Even when I was a child. With So Clean, my mother made sure that my clothes were clean and bright. With a 30% concentrated formula, washing is faster, brighter, and cleaner. Like millions of families, mine also trust So Clean. With my clothes and with my career. Because when all eyes are on you, you have to look the part. So Clean. It's your time to shine.
So Clean. Now with a new look and stain magnet technology for even better stain removal.
Germs, oil and dirt cause blemishes and uneven skin tone. You need Dettol Even Tone. It removes 99.9% of germs and is formulated to remove excess oil and dirt, helping to reduce blemishes. Dettol Mom. She only trusts Dettol Antiseptic Liquid to kill 100 illness-causing germs, and it's recommended for cuts and scrapes. Worry less and love more. Don't just be any mom, be a Dettol mom. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The Institute for International Finance projects $206 billion capital outflow for emerging markets in 2017. Details with Vivian on Business News.
A warm welcome to the Business News segment. Nigerian professionals have continued to express support for measures that could help revamp the economy. One of such is the anti-corruption stance of the federal government. Corruption, they say, is largely responsible for low tax returns. Experts say if left unchecked, graft could cost Nigeria up to 37% of GDP by the year 2030.
If corruption is addressed, so many other things will fall in place, and the environment will be right for even greater things to happen.
Institute for International Finance in a report says emerging markets will see net capital outflows in 2017 for the fourth year in a row, the longest stretch on record. The institute projects a $206 billion capital outflow, which is lower than the $373 billion earlier projected for this year. The report released Thursday shows that the biggest gains in private capital inflows are expected in Asia, with an estimated increase of $70 billion. Outward direct investment from emerging markets is expected to remain at an all-time high of $366 billion in 2017. Still talking financial matters, Nigeria's equities market closed on a negative note Thursday as the all-share index depreciated by 0.66%. The volume traded declined by 44.49%. That's business news at this hour. The rest of the bulletin continues. Good evening.
Thank you, Vivian. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa says a major challenge to sustainable growth of businesses in Nigeria is lack of succession plan. It was at a gathering in Asaba to cross-fertilize ideas on driving industrial development that is paramount for the country now. Austin Edemodu reports.
Statistics have it that globally only 30% of companies successfully transit from one generation to another. In Nigeria, the situation is far worse. Younger generations of Nigerians, especially those below the age of 30, have rarely heard about companies that made waves in the 70s and 80s. It is to tackle this challenge that these indigenous contractors under AGIB are being empowered with knowledge and technicalities of succession. The governor, who was represented by the Chief of Staff, Tim Prisibe, observed that without succession plan, once the founders of the business die or become incapacitated through retirement, old age, or sickness, these companies gradually fade away from the scene.
That's why it is important that you think of who is going to take over from you to ensure that the business you have started will continue long after you.
The Nigerian local content law seeks to increase the indigenous participation in oil and gas by prescribing a minimum threshold from the local services and promoting employment of Nigerians as staff in the industry. The managing director of Nigerian AGIB Exploration Company, Massimo Isula, said 360 vendors have been trained in the past few years.
We are proud to know our footprint and quite visible in all our host communities, the state where we operate.
And the plan shall provide for Nigerians to understudy each improvement expatriate for a maximum period of 4 years.
It is the views of stakeholders that succession plan will promote more entrepreneurs. Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
We'll take another break to bring you some messages. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Would you like some water? It's cold, especially for you.
Which era are you living in? We have a fridge.
When everything else in your house is from the present, then why are your toilet cleaning methods from the past? Harpic, all-in-one for you. Compared to other toilet cleaners, Harpic removes top stains, kills all germs, and removes bad odors for a shining, clean, and fresh toilet.
Wow!
You should also take the Harpic
all-in-one challenge.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogeruola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Now to Global Tidbits with Talatu Ezuriki.
South Africa and Zimbabwe have intensified diplomatic ties with the launch of the binational commission set up by the two countries to strengthen economy and political ties. The two countries before now enjoyed ties in the areas of trade and defense. From South Africa, Gupta's family welcomed a proposed public inquiry on allegation of corruption of offering the country's deputy finance minister bribe to accept a promotion. An anti-corruption investigation body suggested the family exercised political influence over President Jacob Zuma. Similarly, police fired tear gas and water cannon at an anti-corruption rally in Kenya, who were demanding government accountability over missing funds meant for HIV and maternal health care. That is all on Global Tidbits. Talati Ezuriki, NTA News.
And Kene Mabudike is talking sports.
The second edition of a grassroots basketball competition involving 12 boys and 12 girls teams drawn from private secondary schools in Abuja begins this weekend at the Abuja National Stadium. Organizers of the competition believe it will go a long way in raising future star basketball players.
In the state, people get scholarship when they have talent and they can be good students. So we are trying to find Nigerian students that have talent that are also good students.
Team Chika Chukwumerije Sports Foundation, CCSF, and Team Niger State have concluded a 3-day collaborative taekwondo competitive section in Mina, Niger State, with Team CCSF winning 7 out of 10 bouts. The grassroots program, which featured light sparring and footwork session, technical competitive session, and plyometric training, is aimed at exposing upcoming taekwondo athletes to the latest technology in the sport, amongst others.
Competition experience was gained, and overall we hope to hold more of this kind of partnership with many universities across the country over the coming months.
Boxing's most famous politician, Manny Pacquiao, is bent on proving that he remains in the sport's leading pound-for-pound list ahead of his upcoming world title clash with WBO welterweight world champion Jesse Vargas in Las Vegas Saturday night. The two fighters went head-to-head at the Wynn midweek, with Pacquiao hoping to bring his A-game to beat the rising American ace, who insists that all pre-fight focus should be on him as champion instead of the 37-year-old Philippine. With Sports Update, Kenem Imabodike, NTA News.
Let's now take a look at Friday.